Hey, this is Phil Lewis from L.A. Guns, and you're listening to Sonic Perspective. Turn it up.
Hi everyone, it's Rodrigo here, bringing you another interview for Sonic Perspectives. Today we have on the line a very well-known figure if you're a hard rock fan, Mr. Phil Lewis of L.A. Guns. Phil, it's great to have you here with us. Hey, how are you, man?
It's great to be here on Sonic's Perspective. I'm doing good, thank you.
I know you have a new album entitled The Devil You Know, so let's get right to it. Tell us about the writing process, how it was recorded, and what's the expectation with the new release?
You know, writing process was quite a bit different from the record that we did before the Missing Piece. The Missing Piece were ideas that Tracii and Johnny had been working on before the reunion, before me and Tracii got together.
Okay.
But the new one, the Devil You Know, we wrote all together at the same time, and we wrote it pretty much on the tour bus while we were promoting The Devil You Know, promoting the Missing Piece.
Okay.
And so I feel personally a lot more involved in it than I did. I mean, I felt very involved in the Missing Piece, of course. You know, the title alone it sums up me and Tracii. But I feel a lot more connected to this one because I was in it from the foundation.
Yeah, I guess the end result does show that there was more of a collaborative effort. It seems to me a more sophisticated affair than the previous album, The Missing Piece. Would you agree with that?
Well, you know, it yes and no. You know, The Missing Piece has got a lot of strings and keyboards, and it's sort of epic. The Devil You Know, there's no keyboards, there's no strings. It is old school 4-piece band with a singer, you know, 3-piece band, typical Zeppelin, Deep Purple, Sabbath kind of template format.
Yeah, and you had Shane and Johnny joining in 2016, and from memory, I think this one is Ace Von Johnson's first album with the band. Would you say that the lineup is a bit more stable now?
Well, Ace wasn't involved in the recording. He wasn't in the band at the time.
Okay.
And Tracii is in the studio. He does all the guitars. It's kind of it doesn't make sense for him to bring in another guitar player to play the parts that he wrote, because he already obviously he knows them.
Yeah.
So it's just quicker. It's more efficient to for Tracii to do all the guitars in the studio. But yeah, when it comes to live, we are so incredibly happy to have Ace Van Johnson playing live with us and touring with us and promoting this record. And when we do another record, hopefully, you know, if he's still around, he'll be on it too.
Hopefully. And I've seen the fans' reaction to Rage, the first single of the new album, and some are comparing it to previous albums like Vicious Circle or American Hardcore. How would you compare the new album against the overall L.A. Guns discography?
You can't compare it to American Hardcore. I'm not on that record. You know, it doesn't. That's not L.A. Guns. You know, it's rather like Tales from the Strip isn't L.A. Guns either.
Okay.
You know, I did it, and I'm proud of it, and it's a great record, but it's not L.A. Guns. And you know, L.A. Guns has had something like 40 members. Different people are out there that say at one time they were a member of L.A. Guns. And you know what? That's so crazy that it's funny. That we've given employment to that many starving musicians. We should feel very, very good about that.
Very proud. For sure.
No. The truth is, and let's face it, L.A. Guns is me and Tracii together, and it really doesn't matter who else is playing, as long as us two are together doing it. That's what you're going to get, the chemistry. And it took me 15 years to learn that. It took me 5 minutes, 5 seconds to realize when I played with him after such a long time apart, that it was too long. It was we shouldn't have been apart for that long. It was too long, and it wasn't good. It was disingenuous to the fans, and so we're back together. We are on the same frequency, and we're working hard, and we want to make up for lost time.
That's good to hear, man. That's good to hear. And I noticed the cover of the album is a kind of a callback to your self-titled album, in a sense. I guess you're alluding to the origins of the band, not just visually, but sonically as well, right?
Yeah, of course. It's iconic. That logo, that cover, the shield with the guns and the skull. Of course. And I have to give credit to our manager, Scotty Ludwig. When we were working on it, had several album titles while we were recording. Working titles, not real titles, just a working title. The first one wasn't tomorrow great. It seemed like a good idea at the time.
Okay.
And then that changed. Then we changed it to Gravity is in Control, and we're like, oh, because that's a line in one of the songs in Going Down the Hole.
Yeah.
It's a song that goes, Gravity's in Control. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's good. And we started to think about how we could do something visually with Gravity's in Control. And of course, it didn't take too long to come up with the guy in a spacesuit floating above the planet Earth. And we're like, wow, aren't we clever? Look, that's so cool. And our manager, Scotty, told us, he goes, what the fuck are you guys smoking? He goes, you can't do nothing with a title like that. What, are you going to make T-shirts with spacemen floating above the Earth? He goes, come on, guys, give me a title. Give me something that we can do visually. And so the title was always there in the title track, The Devil You Know.
Yeah. I love the way you named the album because it kind of hints at, here we are, we're still the same, and we're here to rock, I mean, it can't be coincidental, right, the way you named the album?
No, it named itself.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. Well, tell us about the title track if you can. We just mentioned it a minute ago. Well, at least to my ears, it shows your Black Sabbath influences. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
What we say is it's Sabbath, but blacker.
That's a great line, man. Great line.
Yeah. Of course, we are Black Sabbath disciples. Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple disciples. We are children from the 70s, and you can clearly hear it in our music, in our influences, and we're very proud of that.
Yeah. I love how you alluded to Highway Star, I think, on the previous album. I think
exactly.
On Speed, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And you'd be amazed how many people were angry about that.
Oh,
they're like,
no way.
how can you rip off Deep Purple? I said, we're not ripping them off. We're praising them.
Of course.
It doesn't get a bigger compliment.
Yeah. Well, two of my favorites from the new album are Stay Away and Loaded Bomb, which for me show the band's strength as a group and a keen sense of melody. And I hope you guys are planning to play those ones live, because they're going to sound huge, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's very difficult to pick one because, an L.A. Guns show is people want to hear sex action. They want to hear Never Enough. They want to hear the classics.
Yeah.
And we want to play the classics, but there's also these new songs, and a challenge is to figure out what ones we can put in the set. We have 3. We've been playing the title track, The Devil You Know, now for a few months, Well, we haven't played a single show this year. We took some time off, but towards the end of last year, the last quarter of last year, we were playing it live, and it was really good. It was going down very, very well.
Okay.
And so we're going to add 2 more songs from the record. We're going to do Rage. We're going to open the set with Rage, and then we're going to put Stay Away.
Oh, awesome.
And then Loaded Bomb will probably be the next one if we can find a slot for it.
That's great to hear, man. Great to hear.
Yeah, I'm excited.
There's a few gems in the tail end of the album as well. One I particularly like is Down That Hole, which, I don't know, for some reason, remind me of Stone Temple Pilots a little bit.
Yeah, and that's the song that we took the Gravity's in Control and we wanted to use that as the title. Because it's a trippy song, It's very Alice in Wonderland, it's going down that hole, It's a kind of a fantasy odyssey.
Yeah. And well, what can you tell us about the lyric content of the album? I think you're treading familiar territory here, at least to my ears. What inspires you from a lyrical standpoint these days?
This is an angry album. This is an album, I really wanted to get away from the typical vocabulary from the early records, the gypsy, the vampire, the electric. I wanted to get away from that, and I wanted to do something more personal, more realistic. And Mitch Davis, who I record with, also we collaborate on the vocals, on the lyrics, and he understood that that's what we wanted. We wanted something a bit more mature, a little less disposable, and he said, like, let's be angry. Let's make an angry, sort of pissed off, like dripping in attitude, lyrical record, and it was a great idea. We're good at it. He's good at writing it. I'm good at delivering it. We have a really good team.
That's cool. And I've heard a lot of people say that rivalry between band members actually yields great results in the studio. We've had albums from Jagger and Richards, Tyler and Perry, for example. They made great albums while not completely agreeing with each other. To what extent do you agree with that? And what's it like nowadays between you and Tracii, for example?
No, we've had too much rivalry. Let's try something. Let's be peaceful now.
Okay.
We've had like Cain and Abel, and the Bible didn't argue as much as me and Tracii. So no rivalry. Everything's cool, and it makes for a better working environment. I can understand when guys have been together for as long as I said, like 20, like Steven Tyler and Joe Perry.
Yeah.
I can understand. That after a while it becomes like a boring old marriage. But it's not. If I was going to compare it to a marriage, I would say that me and Tracii are having our second honeymoon.
That's another great line from the interview, man. I love it. And I did ask this question to Doug Aldrich the other day. Why is it that fights in a band are usually between the singer and the lead guitarist?
Well, because I don't know that that's necessarily true, but that's for me. Don't you think that's the eyes of a band? People. That's who they're watching. They're either watching the guitarist or the singer, and
I guess so.
you don't really get bass players with ego. Well, that's not true. I've had lots of problems with bass players with egos, but I don't know. There has been rivalry with me and Tracii, but it was. I honestly don't think it was ever healthy. This is much more. It's a much more creative environment, and I don't ever want to go back. If that's what it takes to write a good song, then I'm doing this for fun now.
Okay.
I mean, it's if I'm not having it fun, then I'm not going to do it. You know, I'm not desperate, and I am having fun.
Okay. And you've had a career that most bands can only dream of. After all these years, what motivates you guys to keep writing, recording, and touring? I mean, it's not like you still need that, right?
It's flattery, I suppose.
Fair enough.
All the nice things that people say, we love that. So yeah.
Okay, cool. There must have been a time when you kind of thought, why am I doing this? What kept you going then when you thought of giving up through all these years?
When you say I doing it, there are two aspects. There's the music and writing and the creative aspect. And I'm always going to do that because that's I enjoy it. It's a hobby. It's a passion. It's something that I have to do. Now the other aspect, of course, is in the music, and then there's the business.
Yeah.
And plenty times I thought to myself, "What the fuck am I doing?" Sure. It's and that's just unfortunately the necessary evil that comes with it. And it's better now. I mean, it was terrible. The old days, with the labels and the managers and the publicists, they just got in the way, man. They were just fucking things up, fucking up the flow and the creativity. They were instigating rivalries. It was really shitty time, let me tell you. Now it's way better. We got control of our own career, control of our own destiny, control of our own music, and control of what the fuck we wear on stage.
Was there a time when you didn't have control of what you wore on stage, or?
Well, there was a time when we were heavily influenced to make our hair big and wear tight black spandex.
Oh,
hey, and we didn't hate it. We liked it, and we thought we looked good. But yeah, I mean, there was pressure, big time pressure. That if you got fat or your hair wasn't right, there was a lot of bitchiness involved back then because there was so much rivalry. The stakes were so high. It doesn't matter now.
Okay. Well, going back to the time when you joined L.A. Guns, were there challenges for you to adapt to the American lifestyle? I mean, musically, I don't think there was any difficulty because you sound so American, unbelievably American, if I may say so. But music aside, was it difficult?
Well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I suppose, it was a huge leap of faith. And when I first did it, I first came over, I thought, if I'm lucky, I'll maybe have 2 months, 6 months, nice holiday. And I go back to England, I go back to London, and hey, it was a fantastic time. It was a great experience. But that was, that was decades ago now. At no point did I ever miss England. I've got to be honest. I never got homesick. I didn't have much of a family life there anyway, so it wasn't like, I had relations that, made it difficult to leave. It was easy for me to leave.
Right.
Can you imagine what it must be like to be from another country, to land in Hollywood at the height of glam, to join the band, everyone's watching, to get the record deal and to get on a tour bus with these 4 guys that I didn't really know that well. I mean, I knew them. We played shows and we played, but, really getting to know somebody. As the tour bus pulled out of Hollywood, we got the Van Halen playing.
Wow.
And we were playing it loud. And it was like, this is the start of a great adventure.
Wow, man. Was Van Halen as big in the UK at the time? I mean, did you know how big they were in America, or?
Yeah. I was a huge. Van Halen was huge in England. before I joined the band. So there was no argument for them. For me listening to Van Halen, I wanted them to listen to Alex Harvey, and they did. But it wasn't nowhere near as dynamic as Van Halen.
I guess so, yeah. When it comes to the music, I mean, did you feel comfortable with the L.A Guns style from the very beginning? I'm asking because, well, there's of course a distinctive style between the British hard rock and the American one. Like if you compare like Thin Lizzy, Slade, Whitesnake with Cinderella, Van Halen.
I thought of us, what we were doing as fusion, musical fusion. I do have, although you say I sound American, I do. But there are times, when it's very obvious, it's an English singer. But yeah, that's what I wanted. I wanted to be in an American band. I didn't want to be in a plodding, slow, shuffle, Thin Lizzy type band. I didn't want that, and I love Thin Lizzy, of course, but that wasn't for me. I wanted something way more dynamic.
Okay. And, well, this year it seems we'll have, once again, 2 versions of L.A. Guns, like we had a few years ago.
No, that's not true. For there to be another version, they have to do a show. They have to play a song, which they haven't done either. There is not 2 versions. Now, okay, I admit, there's advertised for an event, a band called L.A. Guns that isn't us. But I'll bet $1,000 that show doesn't happen.
Well, I guess from a fan standpoint, it's very frustrating, man. And I understand your frustration as well, because it sounds, I don't know, it devalues the whole thing. But, I definitely see your point. Definitely. So
it's a horrible, I'll address it. It's horrible.
Yeah.
M3, the musical event that happens in Baltimore, where all that bands from the 80s, all the hair bands get together, invited us to play. And unfortunately, because we were too far away playing a show the night before, we couldn't do it. We politely declined and said that we would do it some other time, the following year. But that wasn't good enough for the organization. So they got upset and they called Steve Riley, the old drummer, who does have legal right to the name, but not moral. And they asked him if he would be interested in doing a slot at the event. And very, very stupidly, he agreed to do it before he really thought about it. Because he hasn't played a show in 5 years. He doesn't have a band, doesn't have a singer, and the show's in 5 weeks' time.
Jesus, man. Well, for one, I'm glad I'm talking to the real L.A. Guns right here, right now, man. To be honest with you.
No, it was a shitty thing to do to me, and it was just to fuck with me personally, and I hate that. But there is a little jealousy because L.A. Guns, we're doing our own thing. We're distancing ourselves from the pack, from the hair metal packages. We don't want to play. We don't want to play festivals. We don't want to play these things. We want to play our own shows, and we want to play long shows. What we really want to do is play Friday and Saturday, Monday and Tuesday at the same venue. So we can play a classic night, and then the following night, all the new stuff.
Oh, okay.
Interesting, other stuff. Killing Machine, things that, we just don't have time in one night. So, and because we are doing it, because since we agreed, when we agreed to do the reunion, that we weren't just going to be another 80s metal hair band on the nostalgia circuit. And a lot of bands and a lot of organizations have a really hard time accepting that. And consequently, things get a little nasty. And that's the situation here.
I see. Well, changing the subject a little bit, slightly, one of the first gigs you had before joining L.A. Guns was with Bernie Torme, who eventually replaced Randy Rhoads in Ozzy's band, and he passed away this week. right?
He did, sadly.
Yeah. What kind of memories do you have of working with him?
I have fantastic memories working with him. He was just a great guy. He was. I learned so much from him. He was an awesome music teacher for me. A nice guy, sweet guy, gentle guy, quiet-spoken guy. I was in a band in London called Girl in 1980. We were around at that same time as the new wave of British heavy metal. And the band, it was okay band. It was a good band. It was a glam band. Unfortunately, a glam band in right in the middle of the new wave of British heavy metal, which is all denim and leather.
Yeah.
And you know, like dudes, you know, sausage fest. You know, it was just dudes with long hair and leather and the denim jackets with all the patches of the bands, and that was the uniform. And of course we were wearing, you know, like pink silk suits, and they hated us.
I wonder why.
Hated us.
Yeah.
But you know, so anyway, my Girl lasted for 2 years, and then when it was over, that was pretty much the end of. I thought the end of my career. I tried to do, you know, put bands together, but all the record companies in England, they wanted Duran Duran, they wanted Culture Club, you know, they wanted the clean 80s crap, Wham, stuff like that came out of England at that time. So, you know, I was alone, you know, nobody wanted to work with me, and then I got a call from Bernie, and he just, you know, I'd never met him, and he goes, listen, you'd be interested in coming and singing for me, doing some shows. And I heard of him, of course, but I hadn't heard any of the songs. So he sent me over a cassette, an old cassette, and I listened to it, and it was like, oh my God, this is great. We're going to have so much fun. I love these songs. And, you know, he basically, you know, when no one would talk to me, no one would take my call, I was poisoned. He took a chance on me, and I'll never forget that. I always appreciate it.
Okay, he'll be sadly missed, of course.
Indeed, he will.
Yeah. Well, and going back to L.A Guns, since you and Tracii joined forces once again, there's been a lot more interest in the band, and you're touring a lot more, it seems. What is the plan now after The Devil You Know is released at the end of this month?
Well, we're going to, you know, continue touring, but it's not going to be, we're not going to tour as much as we did for the Missing Piece, because we want to do our own shows.
Okay.
We want to play venues that will accommodate our what we want. We want to play for a long time.
Thank you so much for your time, man. Thank you so much. All the best with the new release.
Bye.
All right, folks, we're wrapping up this interesting chat with Phil Lewis from L.A Guns, which I hope you enjoyed. Before you go, I want to ask you to subscribe to our YouTube channel to be up to speed on all our interviews and our Talking Perspectives podcasts. I also invite you to like us on Facebook and Twitter and check us out on www.sonicperspectives.com. We're going to leave you now with the song Rage from the new L.A Guns album, The Devil You Know. Take care, guys, and see you next time.
lot more coming. I got plenty of